Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic, Keek on the mic. People, this the intro.
Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. We are back and ready for another pregame show right here on Keek on the Mic as the Chicago Bears look to avoid a 0-4 start as they host the Denver Broncos at home at Soldier Field on Sunday. As you guys can see, I am by myself today. Isaiah Fry will be back next week for the pregame show leading up to the Thursday night matchup against the Washington Commanders, but he did send me his 3 keys to a Chicago Bears win and his score prediction that I'll give you guys at the end of this video. I'm going to kind of mix things up today on this episode of Keek on the Mic. I kind of want to talk about a little bit about Bears and Broncos, and there's not a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Denver Broncos are coming off a very embarrassing loss, losing 70-20 to the Miami Dolphins. They're also 0-3, arguably one of the worst teams in the AFC. And obviously, you look at the Chicago Bears, they're 0-3 and arguably one of the worst teams in the NFC. So the big thing about this matchup between the Bears and the Broncos, someone will finally get a win on their record unless they're both that bad and let's say they happen to tie. And that wouldn't surprise me one bit as both of these teams are very bad football teams and they've had very rough starts to their respectable seasons. But like I mentioned, I want to talk a little bit about the Bears and Broncos, and I also want to bring up something that really intrigued me about Luke Getsy's comments in yesterday's press conference. I also want to talk about that and just kind of let you guys engage and tell me what you guys think about Luke Getsy's comments as well. Before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I also did another huge collaboration with Swift Sports Network. We talked about Justin Fields, and you guys all know that Swift and I are both huge Justin Fields supporters. So this video is basically us vouching for Justin Fields. But we also talked about the direction of this football team, where we see it going, and some changes that we think need to be made for both sides of the football. And hopefully things can get turned around, but you guys will not want to miss this video that will be posted later today on Swift Sports Network's channel. I will post a little sneak peek of that collaboration at the end of this video. So make sure you definitely go check it out. Once again, Swifty is a very special friend to me and a great Bears content creator. So please go check out that video later today on his channel. So here we go, Bears fans. First things first, let's talk about this matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Denver Broncos. Once again, the Denver Broncos are coming in at 0-3 after suffering a 50-point loss to the Miami Dolphins. We all know the Miami Dolphins are a really good football team, but they got absolutely embarrassed. But then when you look at the Chicago Bears, they also got blown out by 31 to the Kansas City Chiefs, losing 41-10. So obviously, Bears fans, this is a very interesting matchup. One of these teams has to come away with a win. Hopefully, whoever wins this game can kind of get things on the right track. But me being an optimistic Bears fan, this can very well be a game where hopefully things get on the right track offensively. Looking at Denver's defense, they are not good. They're actually worse than the Chicago Bears defense. When you look at some of their ranks during the first 3 games of the NFL season, they are 31st in total yards, 29th in passing yards, dead last in rushing yards, and they give up 40.7 points a game. That is also dead last in the NFL. So when I look at this game, I think opportunities for Justin Fields, opportunities for offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. And just like my brother-in-law told me leading up to this matchup, and he is a huge Denver Broncos fan, he said this word for word. He said, Keek, if Justin Fields and Luke Getsy can't get things going against this Denver Broncos defense, Luke Getsy and Justin Fields may actually be the issue. So I'm looking for Justin Fields to hopefully light up the scoreboard, and I'm hoping Luke Getsy can put Justin Fields and the rest of the offensive playmakers in a situation to succeed, because I think this Denver Broncos defense is vulnerable. Once again, they just gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, the Chicago Bears are not the Miami Dolphins, but this very well could be a game where we can see maybe a little explosion from the Chicago Bears offense. So there's a whole lot of opportunities for Justin Fields and offensive coordinator Luke Getsy to get this thing going. But Bears fans, even though Denver's defense is not very good, their offense is pretty decent. You look at Russell Wilson, he has had a very good season so far. I mean, he has a 791 passing yards, 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He looks like the old Russell Wilson. They're only 0-3 because of their defense. They've been in some pretty close games. The first 2 weeks, they lost by 1 score, I believe, and then obviously they got blown out by 50 to the Miami Dolphins. But when you're looking at Denver's offense, I'm a little concerned about the Chicago Bears defense, especially when we play in that soft zone. Hopefully Matt Eberflus can dial up some pressure, send 5, send 6. I'm trying to get pressure on Russell Wilson, because if you let Russell Wilson sit in the pocket, he will pick us apart all day long. So when you look at both teams, both defenses are terrible. Obviously, Denver's offense has shown a little bit more than the Chicago Bears offense. So it's going to be interesting matchup to see who can possibly put up more points, even though a lot of people are making fun of this matchup and no one really wants to watch the Bears and the Broncos, the battle of the 0-3 teams, the loser bowl, essentially. But this can very well be a very entertaining game, because both the Bears and the Broncos defenses are absolutely putrid. So at the end of the day, it's going to be about who can possibly make one stop, talking about the Bears and Broncos defense. So I can definitely see this possibly, and I know I may sound crazy, this can possibly be a pretty high scoring affair, possibly a shootout between the Chicago Bears and the Denver Broncos. So today on this pregame show between the Bears and the Broncos, I don't have any X factors for you or key matchups, just because Isaiah is not on this episode of Geek on the Mic with me today. But I will give you the 3 keys to a Chicago Bears win that Isaiah Fry did send me over before the recording of this video. He said, number 1, get Justin Fields involved early. That means make him comfortable, give him quick, easy rhythm throws, get him involved in the game. That's something that Luke Getsy has struggled to do with quarterback Justin Fields, is get this guy in a rhythm. Number 2, he says pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Once again, the Chicago Bears only have 1 sack as a team during the first 3 weeks of the NFL season. That is absolutely terrible, Bears fans. So I definitely agree with Isaiah. Pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. We have to get pressure on Russell Wilson. We cannot allow Russell Wilson to sit in the pocket, or else it'll be a very long day once again for the Chicago Bears defense. And his 3rd key to a Chicago Bears win is stick to the initial game plan on both sides of the ball. So do what works best in order to get you to win over the Denver Broncos. Once again, this is a very prime opportunity for the Chicago Bears to get their first win of the season against a very mid Denver Broncos opponent. Now moving on to the prediction of this game, keeping it short and sweet for this pregame show between the Bears and the Broncos. Isaiah has the Chicago Bears winning their very first game 31-28. And we all know that Isaiah Fry has been very critical of the Chicago Bears, and he's been right 2 weeks in a row, but he has the Bears winning 31-28. He even said in a text message to me prior to recording on this video, he said, Denver giving up 70 points is absolutely inexcusable. He even said that if the Chicago Bears go out there and look unprepared and they're not ready to face this Denver Broncos team, someone needs to get fired. I also have the Chicago Bears winning in a very close matchup, 24-23. Once again, this is a prime opportunity for the Chicago Bears to get their first win and snap that 13-game skid. And I'm on the same boat as Isaiah Fry. If the Chicago Bears go out there and look unprepared and they get blown out by the Denver Broncos, especially knowing that there's opportunities to score on this Denver Broncos defense, someone needs to be fired after this game. But both Isaiah Fry and I both have the Chicago Bears getting their very first win this Sunday against the Denver Broncos. So now, Bears fans, I want to talk a little bit about what Luke Getsy had to say during his press conference. First things first, I want to put this picture on the screen right now because I was a little bit disturbed that Luke Getsy was smiling during his press conference. Luke Getsy, what is there to smile about? We're on a 13-game losing streak, and you are a big reason why we are on this losing streak. It's not all your fault, but you are the bulk of the problem why the Chicago Bears offense is absolutely terrible right now. Also on the screen, you can see that Justin Fields has a totally different demeanor because Justin Fields doesn't like to lose. He hates that he's losing right now, and he hates that the Bears are in this direction on a 13-game losing streak. And Justin Fields has been getting absolutely demolished on social media, saying this is not what a leader is supposed to look like. He needs to fix his attitude, blah, 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 blah. He needs to smile more, blah, 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 blah. This is a guy that hates losing. So to me, I'm more concerned that Luke Getsy is over here smiling. There's nothing to smile about, especially when you're on a 13-game losing streak. But during this press conference, and the only reason why I want to bring this up, because I found this quite interesting. I want to get you guys' take on this as well. Luke Getsy, during his press conference, was basically insinuating that the Chicago Bears offense is in process of building something special here, right? And he says, I think we're in the process of building something special. We are in the phase of it's week 3 going into week 4, and we are going on to find a way to attack Denver in a completely different way than we did Kansas City. It's a 17-week process. It's not a 3-week process. So Luke Getsy, this is the one thing I could agree with you with. I understand that the season is still early, right? It's only been 3 weeks, and I understand where you're coming from. It's a 17-week process. But here's the issue. When you had momentum going into last season, right, and the offense was looking pretty good. We weren't winning football games, but obviously the offense looked pretty dynamic, led by quarterback Justin Fields. Now you add some offensive line help. Now you add a guy like DJ Moore. Obviously, you still have Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet. There was a lot of optimism, a lot of excitement going into the season, and this Chicago Bears offense has looked like absolute shit. And to me, you are the main issue. Why? So I can't agree that it's still early in the season. It's only been 3 weeks. There's still time to turn things around. And I do get it's a 17-week season, but when we're looking at the numbers on the Chicago Bears offense during the first 3 weeks of the season, they are 29th in total yards, 31st in passing yards, 17th in rushing yards, which that's where I expected them to be. They are 27th in points, and they are 25th on third down percentage. So once again, when you look at these numbers, just talking about the Chicago Bears offense and what I mentioned earlier in this episode of Kick on the Mic, just talking about how we have momentum with Justin Fields. The offense looked way more dynamic. Even though we were still losing, it was still more enjoyable to watch the Chicago Bears offense play on Sundays. Now, fast forward, now you have a guy like DJ Moore. You have some offensive line help, which the offensive line has been kind of banged up. But to me, that does not matter because the offensive numbers still don't look great. It looks like as an offense and obviously as a defense and overall as a whole organization, it looks like we have regressed as a football team. But once again, just looking at the Chicago Bears offense, this is absolutely bad. That's why I have a problem with what Luke Getsy had to say. Of course, I can agree with him a little bit. I understand the season's still young. There's still time to turn around. And he says that we're going to attack the Denver Broncos in a completely different way. So once again, that brings me up to my point that I mentioned earlier in this episode of Kick on the Mic. This comes from a Denver Broncos fan. This is my brother-in-law saying that if we cannot score or figure things out against the Denver Broncos, we have a legit problem. At that point, if you want to blame it on Justin Fields, go ahead and blame it on Justin Fields. If you want to blame it on offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, go ahead and blame it on Luke Getsy. I'm going to continue to choose that I'm going to continue to blame it on Luke Getsy, because if you can't scheme your guys in situations to succeed against this Denver Broncos defense that just gave up 70 points, I understand we're not the Miami Dolphins, and I know we're not going to score 70 points, but we at least should be able to put up 20 plus points on this Denver Broncos defense. If we can't figure things out this week as an offense, we have a whole lot of issues. And to me, that's when things need to change. And it probably should start by firing offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. So I just wanted to come on here real quick and bring this up on this pregame show about what offensive coordinator Luke Getsy had to say about he feels like they are close and they're still trying to build something special here in Chicago. And he essentially is stating that it could possibly come this week against the Denver Broncos. So let me know how you feel about that by commenting down below in the comment section. And I want to hear from you guys as well. If you were in Luke Getsy's shoes, how would you scheme around this offense to really get things going for Justin Fields and the rest of the playmakers on the Chicago Bears offense? Let me know down below in the comment section. So once again, Bears fans, the Bears take on the Denver Broncos, looking to get their first win this Sunday. Hopefully things can kind of get in the right direction, because how I feel about this, if we can get our first win against the Denver Broncos, then we have a short week against the Washington Commanders, and maybe we can get a win on Thursday night as well. That will put us at 2-3, and maybe that can get things on the right track. But obviously the Bears have not looked good at all this season. So once again, give me your score prediction down below in the comment section. Who is winning this game? Do you guys believe that the Chicago Bears will get their first win this Sunday against the Denver Broncos? And once again, make sure you check out my collaboration with Swift Sports Network. Later today, he'll have it posted on this channel. I'm about to show you a clip from that little collaboration with Swifty right now on Keek on the Mic. But other than that, make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan you know. But other than that, back for all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys. And as always, bear down.
I just feel like heads are going to have to roll at some point if this team doesn't turn the corner soon. We can't wait the whole year. It is a rebuild, but we need to at least have an identity and see that we're moving in the right direction.
And this is a good week to make changes, like you mentioned earlier in this episode, because, you know, obviously you have a short week after Sunday, you play Thursday. And if you, to me, it's not been about the losses. It's been about how we are losing. It just looks like we're unprepared. We're getting out coached, right? We're getting outplayed. And that's not what you want, right? Because we have the talent on this roster. And I'm not gonna sit here and say I really thought we were gonna beat Green Bay. I thought we were gonna beat Tampa Bay. But they just came. They're just more prepared than we were, and I think that's the most frustrating part as a Bears fan at the moment. And then that's when it really falls on Matt Eberflus and the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's the one that hurts was Green Bay. I definitely thought we were going to beat Green Bay. I think a lot of our fan base did. Now, when we talk about Kansas City, no, I didn't expect to beat them. But just like last year against the Bills, remember the Bills and Eagles? I didn't expect to win those games either. But we were competitive in both of those games. And against the Chiefs, we were not. So what happened to where this team doesn't have the fire and we can't even hang in there and make games close anymore? Now we're just getting punched in the mouth and have no identity when we worked so hard last year to establish that identity. And then we add more talent and Getsy just throws the identity out the window. It reminds me of Matt Nagy when his second year with the Bears, right?
You've been listening to Keek on the Mic, a podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Thanks, guys, and bear down.